Hey guys, Shay with the Produce Common Sense podcast. This is going to be episode number 5, an immigrant's story. I have BJ with me, who has been a customer and friend for, wow, I bet it's almost 10 years.
Almost, yes.
Yeah, he and I met when I was walking the terminal markets in Chicago years and years ago, and I'd like you to meet him and hear his story and how he ended up in produce. And I think that's how any of us end up in produce is kind of a unique and sometimes funny, sometimes strange story. And I think that would be a fun thing for you to learn and see from BJ. BJ, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is BJ. Actually, that's the short name. But if I go with the longer way, it's going to be a pretty long. Well, stick with the BJ. My last name is Grewal. And originally, I'm from India. But been living in Chicago for a long time and doing pretty well. And Shay helped me to start with the onions. And I'm still sticking with onions.
So how in the world, okay, first of all, what made you decide? You and I were driving today and we were talking about this, how you from the time you were young, so that you were riding on that bus, you had that experience and you decided you wanted to leave India. How old were you, and what were the circumstances that made you want to come, and how did you prepare yourself to come to the United States?
Actually, I was in the 6th grade. I saw that instant. It was so bad. And it left a big scar on my heart and my mind, and I never forget that.
And would you mind sharing that, or would you rather not?
I will share it because that's a pretty touching story. It was some kind of moment was going on that time in India, and 3 policemen came, and one guy was on the bike. They looked at it as suspicious, and they grabbed him and they beat him so much. And a few minutes later, the other policeman comes and he said, I think that's the wrong guy. And they left him over there. That day, I made up my mind, this country is not right for me, and I will do anything to get out. Then I got more interesting in this thing, so not to be there. We had books in the school, America, how I grew up, that kind of books I read about a couple of times. That made me to end up here. It was a lot of struggle to get here, but I'm glad I'm here. That was the opportunity land for me.
And one of the things that I think we all miss, those of us that have had the opportunity to travel to other developing nations, I've been very fortunate to be all over Asia, South America, Mexico, just lots of different locations. And I've been able to see the difference in the quality of life, or at least the difference in physical, tangible possessions, whether that's a roof over your head or a car to drive or a toaster oven. I've been able to see the difference between what we have as a standard and a baseline in the United States and what's available in many of these other locations. And it's much, much lower. And I think part of the reason that we have the challenges in the United States today is many of us don't have that experience. We don't have the perspective of appreciating, or the perspective to allow us to appreciate what it is that we have here in this country. And I'm sure you have to have this really unique point of view and frustration, I would think, with, I'll say people like me, people like myself who have grown up here and have these privileges and don't even realize what we have. Have you ever had an experience like that where you've had a conversation with someone and you just wanted to shake them or slap them or yell at them or try and convince them to wake up and realize what they have?
I do it every day.
Every day?
Every day I look at the situation, at people. And it surprised me how generation is changing. Where are we going this way? They don't have that ambitious. They don't. They are losing it. Like one day I was looking at message on my phone. Somebody made a very good point. That person was falling from the airplane in Afghanistan to get out of their country, to just come to America or get out anywhere. And they circulate and they show people, they say, people who born over here, they already won the lottery. It's so true. And every day I think about it. The people who born over here, they already won the lottery. They are in the best country in the world. They can achieve any kind of goal they want. You can start from nothing. It could be anything.
How do you think, BJ, how do we convince people of that though? Like what is it that we can do? Because you've talked about like some of my social channels and some of the reach that I have, but I don't know how to reach a bigger audience, and I don't even know what to tell them. And I wonder what you would recommend that I do and how I could, speak to those kind of people, or how you might, or in your daily life, how you speak to those people. Like, what do you think we do? Whether it's through social media or the bigger, way beyond what I could do or what you could do, what do we do?
What are you doing? That's the very right path to get there. You are doing very good job. People, whoever watching you, they are convinced. That's the only way you're going to reach to people.
You feel like one at a time you have to convince people individually.
You got start
right
small.
Right.
Okay. Then you're doing perfect thing. It is convincing me. Even though my English is not that good, I still get into it to understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And I put 2 and 2 together. It makes perfect sense. And I don't know what you have to do. Take the people to around the world to show them how people live, or you just make sense in their head. Hey, listen, it's here, get it.
Yeah, maybe if you traveled and showed, what the circumstances are in those places, it would make a difference. But obviously we can all go on the internet and we can search for those things. We choose not to. And I guess I felt really pained by the open disdain and the commentary about how the United States, how America isn't special anymore, or never was special. Like the frankly the Biden quote, you can't define what being an American is, which is a really scary thing to say that you can't define it and why America is special. And you've already spoken to, how it already called from thousands of miles away, the American dream, the opportunity to come here. But was it just financial, or there had to be social and aspects of freedom that were calling to you as well? Or would you say that was part of it?
I don't think it was that much on the financial, because people still survive over there. They're living very well. It's not like...
okay, so it wasn't even financially, it wasn't
No, it was not. The system we had.
Okay.
You don't work, you don't get to pay. Is no assistance of any kind. Even though it is available, it goes out to the politicians. They fill up their pockets before they even release anything. But if I can see it from miles away, why this generation don't see it from here?
But what is it that you were seeing? Let me just to try and clarify that, because you're saying it wasn't the financial opportunity. It's the political freedom? It's the literal freedom to choose what you want to do? What was it? Because I think you might have spoken past me on that.
Yeah, actually, the thing is, you can accomplish anything you want over here. Like in my country, you got to know somebody to get somewhere. Over here, is all depend on you what you want to be.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing.
So there is upward mobility that is not available otherwise. Okay. So speaking of that, just in the necessity of time, you came here in the late 70s, early 80s. You started in construction, and somehow from construction in the United States, you ended up as a produce wholesaler in Chicago.
Yes. It was a friend of mine, and we was talking about the general life. She wanted to know how I get here from India, this and that. She was pretty interested in that. So her father was in the watermelon business in Chicago. They did it seasonally, and he's the one who brought me over here. He said, come on, I'm going to take you to Chicago.
Okay. So from Florida to Chicago.
Florida to Chicago.
Okay.
Then it was, I enjoyed it. I never care about hard work, but it was a new invention to me.
And what were you doing?
I was pitching watermelons.
You were pitching watermelons.
Pitching watermelon. I unloaded, loaded trailers of the watermelons.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they delivered to the retail stores and did. And then one day I thought about it. I said, listen, I'm 6 months in Florida, 6 months in Illinois. I'm not going to have house or nowhere. I want to be established myself. The one gentleman I've been to visit, and he gave me a job in the market. And he put me on the board. Mm-hmm. And we are very good friend. And he now work with me. So he gave me the opportunity in the market. And
you started doing what? Like just building pallets, breaking down pallets, unloading trucks?
Yeah, well, actually,
I think it's really interesting. You started as a field worker.
Yes.
I mean, like literally you started learning about produce.
From the bottom.
From the very bottom. Bottom. Pitching watermelon. Okay.
I didn't even know what...
I had no idea about that.
I didn't even know what Brussels sprouts was until I started in the market, because we used to pack in the 16-ounce cup. So that was my first job, to pack in the Brussels sprouts. Then making sleeves, celery, packing the celery. And they used to call us hustlers, because we go deliver to it was Terminal Street. You have the order, you pick up, put on your pallet, you drag the pallet jack, and you deliver to the tail to the trucks. And I really enjoyed it. People thought, oh, what you crazy doing this kind of work. But I thought that was my level. That was my start. I'm going to be somewhere.
You felt like there was upward mobility.
Yes.
I think that's critical though. Like that is so good, because you could see, now to what year was this? This had been like mid-80s?
That was I started with the watermelon in 86. Then I been in the market 89.
Okay.
89 to 90.
There's something critical though that you still had that I think a lot of entry-level workers, especially when we talk about, I'm going to use a hot topic here, which is the living wage, right? Like this minimum wage that needs to be so high. When BJ was doing this, and I think this has been lost. And what I'm trying to say is the aspiration and belief that you can move up. And one of those things that gave you that opportunity, I will guarantee you, is the fact that you were working and striving to speak English. And I tell my workers this all the time that come to me that want to move upward in the company. They're fortunate when they work with me because I'm bilingual, so they don't have to speak English for that upward mobility. But if they ever leave here and they haven't taken the time and made the effort to learn the English language, and not with perfection, okay? They need to be able to communicate. But if they haven't and they leave, they automatically take a step or two down. But my point is number one, you gotta speak English, and you gotta strive to speak English. But if you do that and you believe in yourself, you can start at the lowest level, and you really can work your way all the way up. I mean, you did that all the way from the lowest level, pitching watermelons, building pallets, breaking down pallets, loading trucks, being a lumper basically, all the way to owning your own produce company.
I am the prime example from zero to hero. I am the prime example.
And you had to believe in yourself, number one.
Yes.
You had to convince other people to believe in you, number two. Yes. And what else though? How did you go from being in a warehouse and even, working for someone else to taking the next step, which was your own business and your own company?
Well, my ex-boss, Mike, his family accepted me so good. Mm-hmm. It was never look back. They did not treat me like I was foreigner. They didn't treat me like I was outsider. It was such an encouragement. I mean, you can see on my face when I talk about them. They really loved me. They really loved me. Mike's father, mm-hmm. When I saw him, he always had very name for me, Punji, always. He was wonderful, very well accepted. And I took step by step. I knew what I want, but it took me a little time to do it. I tried 3 times. Mm-hmm. I did fail, but I didn't give up.
Right.
And now I'm a very fortune to have my nephew to cover all the bases which one I can't cover. He's well educated. He's very smart what he does. And he made me who I am.
You know, I think there's something that you may or may not know about yourself that I always notice, because you always give credit to everyone else. You don't take the credit yourself. It's your nephew, and I think if I had him in the room here, I guarantee you he would give you the credit. You sometimes try and push the credit to me for opening the door, sending you some loads PAS and getting you started so that you didn't have to have credit and pay for it, which sure, I was a small piece of it, right? But you're one of those guys that is just so humble and so quick to pass on taking the credit for yourself. And you obviously deserve the credit for yourself, because you wouldn't be sitting where you are without having made those efforts and having proven yourself and believed in yourself.
Shay, you got to give the credit to that people who bring you there. You don't pat your back yourself.
Okay. Your story is a special one because you said it, 0 to hero. You know, but that 0 to hero was because you were willing to, you believed in yourself more than anything. You believe in the country that gave you that opportunity. And I appreciate that, because in today's world, in this moment in time, we are so, as a nation, especially those of my generation, are so entitled and lack appreciation for what they have. And I know that as we contribute, as a contributor in this society at this moment in time, myself and those like you and me were exhausted for continuing to contribute and not get the help. So I sure hope that as this goes out, if anyone has any doubt about whether if they're an immigrant or if they're not, and they're lacking any belief in themselves, BJ is just a great example of, you know, the fact that you can make things happen. And there's more to it than just him making it happen. He had the character and the will, but more than anything, the character that could be trusted and believed in by others to allow him to, you know, make those steps go forward. But it began with you believing in yourself. And that helped someone like myself when you called, know that I could trust you, because I knew that no matter what, you had that classic work ethic, and you would do everything to make sure that you did what you promised. It was because you and I had spoken from that time, you know, back off and on, and you could hear and understand the sincerity. You know, I could tell, I don't consider myself to be the best reader of people, to be honest. But I get it right. Sometimes I get it right. And I'm just glad to have been a small piece of your success. And I appreciate you for coming on and sharing how you ended up here in the United States as an immigrant with your own business and as a success.
I'm a very blessed, and you don't know how blessed I am to be with you. Yeah. You're my first guy who gave me.
Well, I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I get you keep giving me the credit for it. Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. BJ is a very special friend and customer, and I'm glad that he took the time to sit down here with me. I hope he inspired you in a lot of ways. He can be an inspiration to you working towards having a better future for yourself, and know that regardless of the location that you find yourself economically at this moment or educationally, that there is upward mobility. And if you find the right employer, that employer should be able to see that potential in you. That's what I hope to do as an employer every single day, is find the people within the organization and help them to gain the knowledge that they need to move up, because those are the best people for us to have. The ones who start at the bottom and understand all the aspects of the business, because then when something doesn't work right or something's going wrong, they know the reason. So within the company, there's always the need to find those people and the desire to have them as part of your operation. If you like, it'd be great if you did a review on the podcast, and if you could recommend and share with your friends, that would be great. And hit the subscribe button so you can be made aware the next time this one comes out. I look forward to the next podcast and hope to have you here. We'll see you.